It's Pink Floyd's David Gilmour solo on this week's Tier List Tuesday. Over the course of David Gilmour's 5 solo releases, the United States has had 8 different presidents, and the UK has had 9 prime ministers, 10 if you count Liz Truss. I didn't find Gilmour's solo works until 1984, but nonetheless, I will be presenting my tier list, as I always do, chronologically. So we'll start with 1978's self-titled David Gilmour. This is an album I didn't hear until I'd already bought and repeatedly listened to About Face, the 1984 solo album. So I didn't know exactly what to expect, but I was very curious. At the time, I would say I was a little underwhelmed. Of course, with Gilmour on vocals, it does have strong Pink Floyd vibes, but really only because of that. For the most part, it's a pretty slow, bluesy effort. Part of me wonders if Gilmour set himself to the task of making a slower, really depressing Eric Clapton album. I put Gilmour in Clapton's league. He's definitely always been one of my favorites. There's No Way Out of Here is a great song. I Can't Breathe Anymore. Both have high re-listenability. Really, the whole album does. David Gilmour is more direct and guitar-centered. The album is subdued. It avoids the grandiosity of his work with Pink Floyd. It focuses more on personal reflection. Gilmour's 1978 debut is solid, but understated. It's much more introverted and personal as opposed to where Pink Floyd had been and most assuredly where Pink Floyd was heading. I think it's a good album. 1984's About Face. This was my first David Gilmour solo album, and a lot of people over time, and I would imagine a fair amount at the time, have come to regard this album with a certain, ew, 80s. It has some kind of 80s ick on it that a lot of people just aren't comfortable with. This record has a great deal of energy. There were synthesizers on this album. There are horns on this album. The track Blue Light, there was a disco remix of that. Not on the album, but you could get it. You could track it down. It existed. This album came like a year or so after Pink Floyd's Final Cut, which was a turbulent period for the band. I'm thinking this may have been an answer to that album's dour tone and poor reception, maybe. But it's not all. If you've never heard it, it's not like it was a Michael Jackson album or Prince or Pointer Sisters. There was plenty of what you'd call more traditional rock material on the album. Love on the Air, All Lovers Are Deranged, both co-written with Pete Townshend. That song, All Lovers Are Deranged, man, that song's a jam! Gilmour sings this track with a lot of power. Murder is about John Lennon's assassination. No one's going to shake their ass to that. Blue Light, Murder, Love on the Air, Until the End. There was a line in Murder that I always misheard is, did you get rid of all the horses in your head? That's not what he said. About Face is an album that, at the time, I really, really enjoyed it, and I stand by my evaluation of it, that it's a very enjoyable album. It certainly was for me anyway. 2006, first solo album in 22 years, On an Island. At the time, I don't know if I was necessarily expecting About Face Part 2. I don't think that I was expecting that album exactly. But since that album, at least somewhat, sounded like the era of its creation, I was expecting something more post-grunge, maybe even, I hesitate to say this, maybe even something with a little Linkin Park flavor to it. Call me crazy, or say I'm mad. I was just expecting something that sounded like it was recorded in the 21st century. Wife Polly Sampson wrote most of the album. Gilmour sounds great, plays great. There are solid tracks on this record. On an Island is a good song. Smile is awfully nice, isn't it? It almost I don't want to say it has a lullaby quality to it. The Blue is a good song. And this album is all about lush arrangements, deeply personal themes. It is contemplative, nostalgic, deals with aging, loss, the passage of time. On an Island is one of Gilmour's most cohesive albums. It does definitely have that going for it. It does resonate emotionally pretty well. So here's the thing about that album. You really have to listen to it to fully appreciate it. But what I find in the almost 20 years since is that I just don't ever really feel the urge to revisit this album. I haven't in a long time. To me, this album is, this album is just okay. A couple years later, live in Gdansk, in performance with the Baltic Philharmonic Symphony Orchestra, and commemorating the Solidarity Movement's role in the fall of communism in Poland. So that's pretty cool. It's a set list that combines a lot of Gilmour's solo material with obviously well-known Pink Floyd classics. It all comes across a little better, a little richer because of the orchestral arrangements. This puts new life into songs like Comfortably Numb, new life into a song like Echoes, which was, I thought, perfect as it was. His guitar work, particularly on Echoes, is atmospheric. It's emotionally charged. He's playing with passion. This is a great live album. Many of the tracks made better by the orchestral backing, especially the tracks from On an Island, in my opinion. Comfortably Numb, Echoes really come across powerfully on this album. I'm going to say Live in Gdansk is a very good album. In 2015, Rattle That Luck was released, so we had another 9 years between solo albums. The story goes that Polly Samson wrote most of the album and basically based a lot of it on John Milton's Paradise Lost, and then she eventually told David Gilmour what she was writing about. The album is bluesy, surprise, a little proggy, certainly compared to On an Island, a bit more experimental, more varied in the ground that it covers musically. The title track, Rattle That Lock, is upbeat, has these gospel backing vocals that, I don't know, really adds some feel to it, some hopefulness. Today encourages living in the moment. So it's a very positive song. In Any Tongue, A Boat Lies Waiting, Rattle That Lock is a pretty solid album. I didn't love it as a whole, but there are a lot of pretty good, but there's some pretty good songs and several good songs. So I would put it here in the good column. So there's a pattern here. Release a studio album, 2 years later, drop a live album. Here we go, 2 years after Rattle That Lock, 2017, it's live at Pompeii. This is where Pink Floyd famously performed in 1972, and Gilmour's Live at Pompeii is immersive. It blends Gilmour's atmospheric sound with the ancient amphitheater's natural acoustics. Wish You Were Here, Comfortably Numb, The Great Gig in the Sky, all performed with real intensity. The solo tracks like Rattle That Lock, On an Island, Get New Life at Pompeii. I love the version of The Blue from this album. To me, that's the version of the Blue, as far as I'm concerned. Live at Pompeii is somehow better than Live at Gdansk. It goes on that tier. Yeah, seriously. In 2020, the one-off single, Yes, I Have Ghosts, it was a single-track release of a song that was originally only available on the audiobook version of Polly Samson's novel, A Theater for Dreamers. His daughter, Romany, plays the harp, provides backing vocals for the song. I think this is where David Gilmour entered his Leonard Cohen phase, if you know what I'm saying. It is a great song. It is reflective. Mortality is awful. Wrote a little song about it. Like to hear it. Here it goes. And the 2024 release, Luck and Strange. David Gilmour's latest solo effort. The critics are eating it up, that's for sure. This album combines the best parts of Rattle That Lock, his first solo album, and On an Island, but it's not as orchestral or lush as On an Island. The songs are more airy, more atmospheric, This album breathes. It just sounds really good. And there are no bad songs on this album. In fact, there are nothing but good to very good songs on this album. I didn't shrug my shoulders one single time when I listened to it. His playing is amazing. He does push his voice into some uncomfortable places once or twice on the album. Lyrically, this album is pure poetry. It's very relatable to people of a certain age. Dark and Velvet Nights has some intensity to it. Sings is a good song. The Piper's Call. There's one cover on the album, Between 2 Points, that features Romany Gilmour on vocals throughout. You can really hear that she's David Gilmour's daughter. She also reminds me of Margot Timmons from Cowboy Junkies, maybe Hope Sandoval from Mazzy Star. Got that kind of voice. So here's the thing. Gilmour has publicly stated that this album is his best since The Dark Side of the Moon. I don't know if I can get on board with that, but I do, in all honesty. I think it's his best studio solo album. And if I think that, crap, I guess I might be agreeing with him. I might need to go lay down. So that's your David Gilmour Tier List Tuesday episode. Agree, disagree. That's how that works. There are no bad David Gilmour albums, by the way. I mean, this is David Gilmour we're talking about. If this is your first Tier List Tuesday episode, I'm going to stick another one up there in the corner to give you a chance to see how either amazing or effed up my opinions are about another band.